Hello everyone, welcome to MzansiOz Diary. My name is Connie. If you're new here, you're very much welcome on this Sunday of the 16th of February. So the breaking news from South Africa is that Chidimma's mother has been arrested and detained in Cape Town. And let's listen to this video and I'll come back and give you guys my comment.
Former Miss South Africa contestant Chidimma Adetshina's mother has been detained by the Home Affairs in Cape Town. Annabella Rungo's South African documentation was revoked last year after it was found to have been fraudulently obtained, but she continued to live in the country. Adetshina, you will remember, withdrew from the Miss South Africa contest in a cloud of controversy over her citizenship. Her identity and travel documents have since been revoked by Home Affairs, but she went on to represent Nigeria at the Miss Universe pageant.
So as you've heard to that video, finally it looks like those victims of identity theft and corruption were likely to find some justice from this one. I am not that, I'm still 50-50 about whether she will actually end up in court and facing a judge about this allegation. However, this is the closest we've come to in this case. If you're new here, you want to know how this case came about. Yeah, last year, I think you would have, if you follow up the MzansiOz, you would have seen this case trending everywhere about her pulling out of Miss South Africa. At the time, people were alleging that South African was xenophobic, and I did put out a few videos about that. So you might want to go back and have a look at those videos about this case. And I said then it was pretty much to do maybe identity theft, which is what I was leaning towards. And then yes, it was confirmed by Home Affairs. Subsequently, all her documents and her mother documents were cancelled, and she was not a South African citizen. But then there was also those allegations of corruptions that were put forward as well by Home Affairs at the time. And because she then went and entered Miss Universe Nigeria and represented them at Miss Universe, and then she had a couple of interviews in Nigeria claiming to be a victim and said in those interviews that both her parents were Nigerians. But I did say to that video that, we knew her mother as Mozambican. Even in this story, they still say that her mother is Mozambican. And that last name sounds familiar if you're aware of different last names from different southern countries. That would be kind of like similar names that you'd hear from last name from people from Mozambique. But anyway, her mother is allegedly now under the custody, and also it's been alleged that her child is under custody now of the authority in South Africa because Chidimma left South Africa. A few days ago, there was this video that was circulating showing her having a good time in Cape Town. Let's have a look at that video. Yes, you can clearly see that that's her on the other side. So I did actually had a metadata on that video to check if it was a legitimate video. Yes, it was a legitimate video. She was in Cape Town. And I saw that was, on social media, Home Affairs in South Africa and the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber, was tagged in a couple of videos by Quena, and she tagged Home Affairs, and she was very concerned about, once she saw that video, why Chidimma was in South Africa, because we were told previously that everything was cancelled and she was declared as, a person who was not eligible to enter South Africa because because of this allegation that her mother. So, and also later on it was upgraded, included her as well, Because previously we thought she was a victim because she was a child at the time of this identity theft was allegedly committed. She was about 23 years old. And even Home Affairs said to us earlier that she would have been a child at the time. She probably wouldn't have known about this allegation that her mother allegedly stole South African woman's identity and registered Chidimma as that woman's child. That means that that woman and her children could not be registered under her name, and that woman was made stateless. Identity theft in South Africa is not mere of inconvenience; it's a very serious crime, because in South Africa, when you are born, you're given this identity number, and that identity number, the first few numbers of that is your date of birth and year, month. And then the other numbers represent whether you're male or female. But you also linked a person to the genealogy, like who was your mother, who was your father, and what is your mother's mother, what's your genealogy after that. So it links you all the way through to where the records were started in South Africa to be kept. So, and how this happened was due to the corruption. Two are now in prison. The other one died before this case was known to the public. Again, due to Chidimma, because if Chidimma had not attempted to enter Miss South Africa, we wouldn't have known about this case, that there was this person who stole another woman's identity and registered her child as that woman. And for 23 years, that woman could not register her child because her genealogy was linked to this woman. Her children was declared non-stateless, means her children could not have any privileges as a South African citizens because of this corruption from the Home Affairs. This type of corruption can only happen if someone within help her, and they quickly were able to find out identify the people that committed this crime. And then unfortunately the third one had already passed, the third person who was working for Home Affairs at the time. So now had already passed, but the other two were charged and dismissed, and subsequently are now in jail, 15 years in jail, as a result of this problem of identity theft that happened 23 years ago. And this only because Chidimma decided to enter Miss South Africa. Yep, because Miss South Africa, people don't understand that Miss South Africa is not just about being a citizen. You have to have some link to South Africa. You must have some cultural link. When you come in there on stage and say you are Chidimma Adetshina, South Africa would say, what? Oh, from where? It's not his last name, it is indigenous to South Africans. We know our last names. South African last name, indigenous last name are known. So you can't find those last names anywhere else except in the southern SADC, maybe Zimbabweans, some of them, because there's some Zimbabwean tribe that are similar to South African tribe. So you would find those last names similar. But other than that, nah, they're very unique. Okay. So then there was questions. People start asking questions. Okay, how come she's entered Miss South Africa? Even if she's a citizen, she doesn't belong to any of the ethnic group in South Africa. How come she is even there? And then because of her arrogancy, combativeness, people started to dig and dig and dig and dig. And then voila, this case progressed very quickly. Okay, we are here now. And then obviously she went and entered Miss Universe Nigeria. They gave her the spot there, and I think they did it because they out of spite and to spite South Africa for what South Africa did. But they didn't realize that actually South Africa was always on the right side of the law. We have rule of law and standards. If you don't have standards in your culture and a community, things can get out of control. You need to have standards. And they pull out and broke their own standards and got her in and all of that stuff. But now, with this allegation, now her mother is now likely to be detained until she faces the court because she is a flight risk. She's likely to be detained until she sees her day in court as a result of these allegations. And also, she's also included in this allegation. We don't know how she's included because we all thought, oh, she was an innocent baby. She couldn't have known. But when you look at her her historic tweeting, that tells a different story. That it's likely that this person knew that she wasn't a South African citizen. But you can't judge people based on acts, okay? But that also is some of the people were saying. Even for me, from my observation, I think she would have known that she wasn't a South African citizen. Hence, the way she behaved, the combativeness, and then we end up in this situation. But the issue now for her is that she's the first runner-up for Miss Universe. I think that title is called Miss Africa and Miss Oceania. Oceania, that's the title for first runner-up Miss Universe. And then she's now has that her child is now in social being detained. Her child is under the South African government now because she left a few days ago. After that, she left and posted something on social media. This is what she posted. She posted this on social media, and she obviously went back to Nigeria and left her child there with her mother. And you wonder, why aren't you taking your child? You are a mother. How are you parenting while you're on the road? Anyway, she left and left her child with her mother, who is an illegal immigrant in South Africa, who has been declared as a person who is not eligible to enter South Africa, and also all those allegations. So the reason why the authority found this problem was because of Chidimma again. Chidimma, that video that you just saw, it was her. And then Kwena, who is very much patriotic about these issues and has been really an activist about identity theft in South Africa, saw these videos and was tagging Home Affairs. And a couple of days ago, I saw Dr. Leon Shaba, a picture of Dr. Leon Shaba being floated around in South Africa and want him to resign. I was like, Jesus, what happened? Kwenzenjani manje bethu? Yeah, kwenzenjani Mzansi? I was like, Jesus, what's going on here? And then I look around, I was like, okay. So they read this video and I thought, that must be Chidimma. And then later on, it was moving fast. And I saw, and then another, trending on X that Nigerian embassies must be shut down. I thought, Jesus, this thing is getting a bit too much. Why is that? But then again, it was still Chidimma trending. It was to do with her because people felt the Nigerian embassy is giving these people like Chidimma and what do you call it, passport, they call them, to enter South Africa without being checked and, without going through checking because she's a fugitive. And all of those allegations, started to resurface again, So the arresting Chidimma's mother was not because Home Affairs has been diligent. It was because of South African citizens, especially Kwena, who has been working tirelessly about this issue of identity theft in South Africa. It's not because Home Affairs and the Border Management Authority have been doing their job. This has also raised a question about Home Affairs in South Africa being porous and just, dangerous. Just imagine if Chidimma was really a dangerous criminal. If she was a dangerous criminal, or her mother, her family were dangerous criminal, that they allow this person to enter undetected, because at this point, the fact that the citizens themselves had to see that they're the one that alerted authority, they're the one that alerted the Home Affairs of this saga. They look incompetent. That department looks so incompetent, so corrupt, in my view, when I look at it. because it's not through the systems that we're able to detect her. We're able to find out about this. It was through the diligence of South Africans. And they saw her, someone saw her in Cape Town, posted the video, and then voila, it came the MzansiOz, and Home Affairs was bombarded by South Africans wanting the minister to resign. And then we are here. As you can see from this letter from Home Affairs, they don't want to take any more questions. You know why? Because they don't have the answer how she would have entered South Africa as undesirable, because they were both declared undesirable, and also how come she had been living in Cape Town while she's been wanted for this allegation of identity theft and fraud. Fraud, assuming fraud to do to the fact defrauding the state about thing that she wasn't entitled to, because she claimed to be this South African woman who that woman was left stateless. The identity theft in South Africa is not a mere point of, I'm going to ring, go and change my driver's license, or I'm going to change my bank details. No. I need to collect my 100-point ID. Similar, probably close to the American Social Security number. But it links a person to the genealogy. So it links that person to the genealogy of that person. So with Chidimma as well, that case was because both the woman that the identity was stolen and the Chidimma's mother, they gave birth to the kids in like about 3 months apart. And this fraud happened first, and that other woman went to the Home Affairs to register her child, that the birth has occurred, and then found out this saga that, she couldn't register her kids because how come she could have another child after 3 months? You kidding? And then that's how the whole thing. And then assuming she was given this identity that was for her to be known, but she could not reclaim that because it belonged to another person. And the biggest problem with this identity theft in South Africa, it actually targets the low-income Black South Africans. The Black South Africans, low-income, rural, are the most victim of this crime. And that also brings a lot of problems about how they can get legal advice, how they can get assisted. Often they would be living in far areas of South Africa. It'd be so expensive for them to travel. Like we said, when talking about this Expropriation Act and this possession of a lot of Black South Africans, they may take long distance for them to go to the next city to try and solve this problem for themselves. And it costs a lot of money. So, for that point of view, it is actually so difficult socially, inequity, for them to actually try and fight it, this identity theft, when it had occurred. Because the victim always, in always the case, tend to be a Black and low social economical status. People who are high economic status, they can very quickly get lawyers and get everything sorted, and work with the power to find the person who stole their identity and to have a bank account closed for that person. So it's quite better for them. But when you're dealing with the low income areas, far remote areas, and with that social inequity and this position as a result of apartheid, you're dealing with this problem. This is what happened to this woman. And people are angry, South Africans are angry, rightfully so, because of knowing this inequity that exists when the identity is stolen from a South African. Often they get really ostracized. They don't get to have those benefits of being a citizen. And often these people would probably even be reliant on South African government to help them with like food and raising their kids, to get food, social services. So they wouldn't be people who are wealthy enough to look after themselves, not needing assistance from the government. So that's also another matter. When it happened, it is so hard. So you need to look at it from that point of view, that is actually an identity number that link you from your birth, from your father's father, from your genealogy when the record started in South Africa. And it's a number. And for it to succeed, an official that's corrupt would have help. And we know that two of the three are now in jail for about 10 years, I think. 10, the other one was 12. But the other one died before the case was known anyway. So that's where the case is about this story. So hopefully for this family, they're finally going to have some justice. Okay? As I said, crime in South Africa doesn't have a race, but some crime have a race. This one here is one of them. Thank you guys for listening. See ya.